Let me ask you a question. How many times have you made a decision, set a goal, felt that fire in your belly, and then the next day the excitement was gone? You woke up tired. You didn't feel like it. And so instead of following through, you listened to your mood, and that mood stole your momentum, stole your consistency, stole your results. Here's the truth. Your mood is a liar. Your mood tells you not today. Your mood convinces you to take shortcuts. Your mood tells you rest now, you'll start tomorrow. And if you keep listening to it, tomorrow never comes. But your plan doesn't care about your mood. Your plan is the roadmap to your future. It's the contract you made with yourself when you were clear, you were focused, when you were strong. And if you want to live the life you dream of, you've got to stop bowing down to how you feel in the moment and start honoring the plan you built when you were in state. Because let me promise you something, the people who win in life, the people who rise above, the people who dominate in their field, they don't always feel like it either. They just learned the secret. They learn that moods pass, but stick into the plan compounds. So tonight, I want you to lean in. I want you to listen with every ounce of attention you've got, because what I'm about to share with you isn't theory. It's the difference between starting and never finishing, between dreaming and actually living your dream. If you've ever struggled with inconsistency, if you've ever felt like you take one step forward and 3 steps back, this is the message you've been waiting for. Stick to the plan, not your mood, and your life will never be the same. You see, the biggest trap people fall into is believing that how they feel in a given moment should decide what they do. Think about it. How many times have you told yourself you were going to change something in your life? You were excited, you were fired up. Maybe it was the first day of a new year. Maybe you read something that inspired you, or maybe you just got sick and tired of being stuck where you are. In that moment, the decision felt real. You had clarity. You said, that's it. I'm done playing small. I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to build that business. I'm going to stop wasting time. And for a few hours, maybe a few days, you took action. You followed through. But then what happened? Your mood shifted. You woke up the next day a little tired, maybe a little sore, maybe a little overwhelmed. And suddenly the energy wasn't there. That voice crept in. Do it tomorrow. You've already worked hard enough. Nobody's watching. Nobody cares. That's your mood talking. And most people, they surrender right there. They let that temporary emotion kill the plan they created when they were in a state of strength. Here's the truth. You've got to accept moods are like weather. They come, they go, they change. You don't control whether it rains today. You can decide if you're going to carry an umbrella. You don't control if it's cloudy, but you can decide if you're going to sit inside all day or go outside and do what needs to be done anyway. That's the difference between living a life by design and living a life by chance. When you base your actions on your moods, you become inconsistent. And inconsistency is the silent killer of dreams. It's not the big failures that destroy people's lives. It's the 1,000 little moments where they chose mood over plan, skipping the workout because they didn't feel like it, ignoring the business call because they felt nervous. It's postponing the difficult conversation because they weren't in the mood to deal with conflict. Each of those decisions feels small in the moment, but stack them up over weeks, months, years, and suddenly you're miles away from the life you said you wanted. When you base your actions on your plan, something shifts. Your plan doesn't ask you how you feel. Your plan doesn't care if you're tired. It doesn't care if you're scared. It doesn't care if you're uncertain. The plan simply says, this is what must be done today, and when you honor it day after day, regardless of mood, you build something far more powerful than excitement. You build trust in yourself. See, most people think confidence comes from talent or success or luck. That's not true. Real confidence comes from keeping the promises you make to yourself. When you say you're going to do something and you actually do it, not once, but over and over, you begin to believe yourself at the deepest level. That's when you become unstoppable. Let me give you about the gym. Everyone feels motivated the first week of January. That place is packed. But go back in February and what happens? Empty treadmills, empty squat racks. Why? Because people were running on mood, not on plan. Their excitement wore off, so they quit. The ones who are still there, who show up month after month, year after year, they've learned the secret. They don't negotiate with their moods. They don't ask themselves, do I feel like going to the gym today? They already know the answer doesn't matter. The plan says go, so they go. And that's why their bodies, their energy, their lives look different. It's the same in business. Most people start a project when they feel inspired, but the first setback, the first rejection, the first week when results don't show up, they stop because their mood changed. But the entrepreneurs who make it, the leaders who build empires, they know their mood is irrelevant, make the calls when they don't feel like it. They keep learning when they're frustrated. They push through when it feels like nothing is working. And because of that, eventually everything begins working. Let me tell you something. The people you look up to, the ones you think of superhuman discipline, they don't always feel good either. They don't always wake up full of energy. They don't always feel confident. The difference is they've trained themselves to honor the plan above the mood. They've made it non-negotiable. Think about that word, non-negotiable. What if you made your health non-negotiable? What if you made your financial discipline non-negotiable? If you made working on your dream every single day non-negotiable, how would your life look different 1 year from now if you stopped giving your moods a vote? You might be thinking, but what if I fail? If I stick to the plan and it still doesn't work out? That's the wrong question. The real failure is not following through. The real failure is giving up before you even find out what's possible. Because when you keep moving, even when it feels hard, even when it feels pointless, you're growing. You're developing the muscle of consistency. And eventually, that muscle makes success inevitable. So understand this, your mood is temporary, but your plan is permanent. You set a plan from a place of clarity and strength. That plan is a contract with your future. Don't break it just because today feels heavy. Don't throw it away because you're tired. Don't sabotage it because fear whispers in your ear. Honor the plan, no matter how small the step, and watch what begins to change. Because if you can learn this one lesson, to stick to the plan, not your mood, you'll break free from the cycle of starting and stopping. You'll build momentum that no temporary feeling can destroy. And that's when the extraordinary life you dream of stops being a fantasy and starts being a reality. When people talk about achievement, they love to talk about motivation. They love to say, I'll do it when I feel motivated. I'll do it when I get inspired. I'll do it when the timing feels right. And that's exactly why most people never get anywhere. Motivation is a beautiful feeling, but it's like a spark. It ignites quickly. It feels powerful in the moment, but it burns out just as fast. You can't build your future on something that disappears the second life gets uncomfortable. Think about it. How many times have you felt motivated to change your life? Maybe it was after watching something inspiring, reading a book, hearing a story. You felt alive, you felt ready, and you thought, nothing can stop me. Then the next morning, you wake up tired. You wake up overwhelmed. Suddenly the motivation isn't there anymore. And what happens? You wait. You tell yourself, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it when I feel like it again. And you start the cycle over and over until months go by, years go by. Nothing really changes. The truth is, the people who win in life, the ones who achieve at the highest levels, they don't rely on motivation. They rely on discipline, because discipline doesn't care how you feel. Discipline doesn't ask, are you in the mood today? Discipline doesn't vanish when you hit an obstacle. Discipline is a decision. It's a muscle. And the more you use it, the stronger it gets. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is structural. Motivation waits for the right feeling. Discipline creates the right action, and action always beats feeling. If you've ever wondered why some people with less talent, less opportunity, fewer resources still manage to rise to the top, it's because discipline carried them where motivation never could. I'll give you an example. Let's talk about athletes. On the days of the big game, everyone is motivated. The crowd, the lights, the excitement. It's easy to show up with energy then. But what about the early mornings when nobody's watching? What about the lonely hours in the gym, lifting weights when their body is sore, practicing the same play over and over? That's not motivation, that's discipline. Motivation is why people start the race, but the discipline is why champions finish it, and it's no different for you. Whatever your goal is, health, business, relationships. If you're waiting for motivation to carry you, you'll always struggle. Because the days you feel motivated will never be enough to cover the days you don't. You need something bigger, something stronger. You need the power to say, I may not feel like it, but I'm doing it anyway. That's discipline. Discipline is freedom. Most people think discipline feels like restriction, like being forced into something rigid, but in reality, it's the opposite. Discipline frees you from the control of your moods. Discipline frees you from regret. Discipline frees you from the pain of inconsistency. It's not about chains. It's about choosing to live in alignment with the life you say you want. Because every time you act with discipline, you cast a vote for your future self. The problem is, most people treat discipline like a punishment, like it's something to dread. But discipline is a gift. It's the only thing that can bridge the gap between your intentions and your results. Think about how powerful that is. You already know what you want. You've already imagined the life you could live. The only thing that stands between where you are and where you want to be is your ability to do what you said you'd do, regardless of how you feel in the moment. That's discipline. And here's what's beautiful discipline compounds. First day you do something you don't feel like doing, it's hard. You fight yourself. But the second day it gets easier. By the 10th day, it's automatic. It becomes part of who you are. Discipline is how habits are born. Once you have habits working for you instead of against you, you no longer need to push yourself uphill every single day. The weight shifts. The momentum builds. That's when people look at you and say, so motivated all the time, when in reality, it's not motivation at all. It's the rhythm of discipline creating consistency. Now, let's be real. There will be days when you feel burned out. There will be days when your emotions scream at you to stop, when your body wants comfort, when your mind invents excuses that sound so logical. But that's the exact moment discipline has to step in. Discipline is the voice that says, I don't care how you feel, we're doing it anyway. And once you do it, something magical happens. Your energy shifts, your mood shifts, you feel proud, you feel strong, you feel alive. Discipline creates the very feeling motivation could never sustain. Let me tell you something important. If you build your life on discipline, you'll always move forward, no matter the circumstance. Storms will come, setbacks will happen, People will doubt you, but discipline is what keeps you anchored. It's what keeps you taking steps forward when everyone else has stopped. It's what makes you consistent enough that progress becomes inevitable. Here's the reality. You don't need discipline in everything. You just need it in the areas that matter most, the core rituals that move your life forward. If you can identify the few key actions that create the biggest results and make them non-negotiable through discipline, your life changes faster than you can imagine. That's the difference between dabbling and dominating. So if you've been waiting for motivation to show up before you take action, stop waiting. Motivation is fickle. Motivation is fleeting. Motivation might get you started, but discipline is what will keep you going. Discipline will take you across the finish line. Discipline is what separates the ones who dream from the ones who actually live their dream. Discipline is stronger than motivation. If you look closely at the people win consistently, you'll notice something very different about how they live their lives compared to everyone else. Most people make decisions based on how they feel in the moment. They say things like, I'll work out if I feel like it, or make those calls if I'm in the mood, or I'll save money when I'm motivated, and that's exactly why their lives are unpredictable. Their actions depend on something as fragile and unstable as a feeling. The people who truly rise above, the ones who keep building momentum year after year, they don't rely on feelings, they build systems. A system is bigger than your excuses. A system is bigger than your moods. System doesn't require you to feel good every day. It simply requires you to follow it. That's why systems create freedom, because once you design a structure that supports your goals, you no longer have to waste mental energy debating whether or not you should act. The decision has already been made. The system makes it for you. Think about it like this. If you had to decide every morning whether or not to brush your teeth, often would you skip it? Maybe on the days you were tired or running late or just not in the mood. But because brushing your teeth is a system, an ingrained ritual, you don't negotiate with it. You do it automatically. You don't wake up inspired to brush your teeth. You don't need motivation, and you certainly don't wait until you feel like it. You just do it. That's the power of a system. Now imagine if you treated the most important parts of your life with the same level of non-negotiable structure. Imagine if eating clean, exercising, working on your business, or growing your skills were as automatic as brushing your teeth. You wouldn't need to depend on emotional highs. You'd be consistent because the system would carry you even when your mood wouldn't. Most people live reactively. They're at the mercy of their energy levels, their circumstances, their environment. They wake up and let the day dictate how it's going to go. But the people who build extraordinary results, they flip it around. They create systems so strong that no matter what happens externally, their actions remain steady. That steadiness compounds over time into massive progress. Look at someone who has transformed their health. At first, they probably relied on motivation. They were excited to get in the gym, excited to eat better. What happens when that motivation wears off? The ones who quit never built a system. They were just relying on emotion. But the ones who sustain it, they build routines around it. They meal prep every Sunday. They schedule their workouts like appointments. They create accountability by working with a coach or a group. Those are systems. And those systems keep them on track when motivation disappears. It works the same way in business. Most successful companies don't depend on whether their employees feel like working today. They run on systems, marketing systems, sales systems, financial systems, training systems. Those structures allow the business to perform consistently, even when individuals have off days. And if you want your personal life to function at the same level, you've got to design systems for yourself, systems that protect your progress from your moods. Here's the beauty of it. Systems actually save you energy. Most people think discipline is about pushing harder every day, but discipline gets easier when it's built into a system. When you know exactly what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, you eliminate decision fatigue. You don't wake up asking, should I go to the gym? You already know. The system says yes. You don't ask, should I work on my goals today? The system already put it in your schedule. That's how you start freeing yourself from the roller coaster of emotions that control most people. Now, let's address something important. Some people resist systems because they think it makes life rigid or boring. They want freedom, spontaneity. But here's the paradox: the people with the most freedom are usually the ones with the strongest systems. Why? Because their systems create results. Their systems create stability. Their systems create time. You're not wasting your life starting over every time your motivation runs out. You free up energy and attention for the things you really care about. Systems don't take away freedom. They create it. Think about money. Someone without a system spends emotionally. They buy when they feel like it. They save when they feel motivated, and they wonder why they're always broke. Someone with a financial system sets up automatic transfers, automatic investments, automatic rules. They don't depend on moods. And years later, while the emotional spender is still stressed about bills, the person with systems has freedom. That's the difference. Your systems don't have to be complicated. In fact, the simpler they are, powerful they become. A system could be as simple as a morning routine that anchors your day. It could be a checklist you use before you go to bed. It could be scheduling non-negotiable blocks of time for your most important work. Isn't complexity. The point is creating a structure that removes the need for emotional debate. And let's be clear, moods are powerful. They're not bad, but they're unpredictable. If you let them drive the car, never know where you'll end up. Systems are the steering wheel. They keep you aligned with where you said you want to go, even when the road gets rough, even when your emotions are telling you to take the next exit. So ask yourself, in your life, are you relying too much on feelings and not enough on systems? Where are you making decisions in the moment instead of creating structures that make those decisions for you? If you find yourself starting and stopping, getting excited and then losing momentum, that's a sign you don't have a system in place yet. The good news is you can change that today. You don't have to keep riding the emotional roller coaster. You can design a structure that works for you, system that guarantees progress even when you're not at your best. Because when you have systems, you don't just rely on bursts of energy, you rely on a foundation. And a foundation holds strong no matter what storms come your way. Systems over feelings, that's how you take control of your life and ensure progress is not optional, it's inevitable. One of the biggest lies people tell themselves is that success requires giant leaps. They think they have to overhaul everything overnight, make massive changes instantly, or take huge risks all at once. And because that feels overwhelming, they stall. They wait until the perfect time, until they're fully ready, till life lines up just right. But the truth is, nothing great is built that way. Success isn't about giant leaps, it's about micro wins, the little victories you collect every single day, stacked on top of each other until they create unstoppable momentum. Think about the last time you accomplished something meaningful. Maybe it was losing weight, building a project, learning a skill. Did it happen because of one dramatic action? Was it the result of dozens, maybe hundreds of small, consistent actions that compounded into something bigger? That's the power of micro wins. They may feel insignificant in the moment, but over time they transform everything. Most people dismiss small wins. They think, what's the point of a 5-minute workout? What's the point of saving a few dollars? What's the point of reading 10 pages of a book? They underestimate the compound effect of small, consistent action. The people who win understand something simple. The small things done consistently are what create the big things everyone else admires. Let's take fitness as an example. You don't get in shape from one brutal workout. You don't transform your body by spending 10 hours in the gym one day and then quitting for a month. You get in shape because you showed up for 30 minutes again and again, even on the days you didn't feel like it. Each of those workouts might feel small. Each one might not show dramatic results in the mirror right away, but stacked together, they build strength, they build endurance, and they build the body you want. It's the same with finances. Nobody becomes wealthy from saving one paycheck or making one smart investment. It's the repeated act of saving, investing, being consistent with the system that eventually creates freedom. Every dollar saved, every choice to invest instead of spend feels tiny at first. But over time, it grows into something massive. And the same principle applies to your mindset, your relationships, your career. You don't build trust in a single day. You don't develop mastery in a single week. You don't create a powerful mindset in a single seminar. You build it by showing up, by doing the work daily, by stacking micro wins until you've built an identity around them. Here's why micro wins matter so much they create momentum. Momentum is one of the most powerful forces in human life. Once you get moving even a little bit, your energy shifts. You start to feel progress. And progress is addictive. It makes you want to keep going. When you win in small ways, it gives you the fuel to tackle bigger challenges. And before you know it, you've built momentum so strong that stopping feels harder than continuing. Let me give you an example you can feel. Imagine pushing a car that's stuck in neutral. At first, it barely moves. You lean into it and wonder if it's even worth the effort. But if you keep pushing even a little bit, eventually the wheels start to roll. Once it starts moving, it gets easier. And if you keep applying consistent pressure, suddenly the car is moving with speed and force. That's momentum. And it all started with tiny pushes that didn't feel like much in the moment. This is where most people sabotage themselves. They expect instant results, to see massive change immediately. And when they don't, they get discouraged. They quit before the momentum has time to build. But the people who win understand that the early stages are about collecting micro wins, not massive breakthroughs. They know that if they just keep stacking those small actions, the breakthroughs will come later as a byproduct of the momentum they've created. Micro wins also reshape your identity. Every time you follow through on a small commitment, you're proving something to yourself. You're proving that you can be consistent. You're proving that you keep your word. You're proving that you're someone who follows the plan, not the mood. And the more times you prove it, it becomes who you are. Your identity shifts from, I'm someone who struggles to stay consistent, to, I'm someone who follows through no matter what. And when your identity shifts, your behavior follows automatically. That's why it's so powerful to lower the bar of entry in the beginning. Don't aim for perfection, aim for progress. If you want to start running, start by walking. If you want to start writing a book, commit to writing for 10 minutes a day. If you want to save money, start with a small amount every week. Those actions might feel tiny, but they're micro wins, and each micro win is a vote for the future you're building. Here's another powerful thing about micro wins. They give you emotional leverage. On the days you don't feel like showing up, the thought of doing something huge feels overwhelming, but the thought of taking one small action feels manageable. You can convince yourself to take that one small step. Once you do, you create momentum that often carries you further than you expected. You weren't in the mood for a full workout, but you told yourself, I'll just do 5 minutes. And by the end, you did 30. In the mood to make 10 calls, but you said, I'll make 1. And once you did 1, you found yourself doing 5. That's the magic of micro wins. They trick your brain into starting. And once you start, everything changes. When you start stacking those wins, no matter how small your confidence grows, confidence doesn't come from telling yourself affirmations in the mirror. It comes from evidence. Evidence that you can rely on yourself. Evidence that you do what you say you're going to do. Micro wins are daily evidence that you're on track, that you're capable, that you're moving forward. And that evidence builds unshakable confidence over time. So don't dismiss the little things. Don't underestimate the power of consistency in the smallest actions, because those actions, repeated daily, create the momentum that makes big goals inevitable. Small hinges swing big doors. Micro wins build massive lives. Micro wins create massive momentum. Most people believe they have to wait for the right feeling before they can act. They think they need motivation to go to the gym, inspiration to work on their dream, or the perfect mood to have that difficult conversation. They live under the illusion that action is supposed to follow emotion, and that's why they stay stuck. Because the truth is your mood doesn't create your actions create your mood. Think about how many times have you woken up tired, convinced you didn't want to do anything, only to force yourself to take a small step, and suddenly you felt better. Maybe you didn't want to exercise, but once you started moving, energy showed up. Maybe you didn't want to go to work. Once you got into the flow, you found yourself focused. Maybe you didn't feel like talking to someone, but once the conversation began, your energy shifted. That's proof. Action changes how you feel. Movement shifts your state. Yet most people sit around waiting for the feeling to come first. They tell themselves, when I feel ready, I'll do it. When I feel confident, I'll start. When I feel motivated, I'll follow through. And because feelings are inconsistent, they wait forever. But the people who create extraordinary lives have flipped the formula. They act first and let their mood catch up later. This is why so many never get momentum. They're waiting to feel good before they move. You can't feel good until you move. It's like trying to get warm before you step into the fire. You can't. You step into the fire first and then the warmth comes. That's how action works. Let's take exercise as an example. Often do you feel like working out before you start? Rarely. You're tired, you're busy, you're distracted. But if you push yourself to begin, just pick up a weight, just start jogging, just stretch for a few minutes, you ignite something inside you. The blood flows, the energy rises, your mood transforms. And by the time you finish, you feel completely different from when you began. The workout didn't happen because you felt good. You felt good because you worked out. The same principle applies to business. You don't always feel confident before making the call. You don't always feel inspired before writing that proposal. But when you push through and take the action anyway, confidence shows up after. The act of doing creates the state of being. That's why action is always more powerful than emotion. It even applies to relationships. You may not feel affectionate. You may not feel connected. When you choose to show love through action, sending a message, giving a hug, saying the words, you spark the very emotions you thought you needed first. Action is the trigger. Emotion is the response. The mistake is thinking you need to wait until you're in the right mood. If you're waiting for the right mood, you're going to live your life in hesitation. You'll start and stop endlessly, never building momentum, never creating the life you deserve. If you flip the script and teach yourself to act regardless of mood, you begin to control your state instead of letting your state control you. That's power. Here's something powerful to remember. Emotions are designed to follow physiology. The way you move your body, the actions you take, they shape how you feel. If you sit slouched over, breathing shallow, telling yourself you're tired, you'll feel tired. But if you stand tall, move with purpose, breathe deeply, take action, state changes instantly. You don't have to wait for your emotions to cooperate. You can create them by moving first. That's why the smallest action matters so much. If you're stuck in a negative mood, don't wait for it to shift on its own. But take one small action and you'll create the shift yourself. Send that email you've been avoiding. Drink that glass of water. Step outside and walk for 5 minutes. Those tiny moves begin to change your physiology. As your physiology changes, your psychology follows. It's the same with fear. People wait until they feel fearless to take the leap. But fear never disappears by waiting. It disappears through action. When you do the thing you're scared of, even while still scared, you build evidence that you can handle it. That evidence creates courage. Courage creates confidence. And soon the fear shrinks. Action is what dissolves fear. Not waiting, not hoping, not thinking about it. Action. This is why the most successful people don't wait for moods. They don't wait for the perfect energy. They don't wait to feel ready. They've trained themselves to act first. They know that by taking action, their mood will align with their behavior. They don't wake up asking, do I feel like it? They wake up asking, what's the plan? And then they execute. And because they execute, their mood eventually rises to match their actions. This is the great irony of achievement. The very thing you think you need before taking action is actually created by taking action. You think you need motivation to move, but moving creates motivation. You think you need energy to start, but starting creates energy. You think you need confidence to act, but acting creates confidence. The formula is backwards in most people's minds. But once you correct it, everything changes. And the best part is you don't need to start with huge steps. You just need to start. Action doesn't have to be massive to create a shift. It can be small. It can be as simple as standing up when you feel stuck, moving your body, taking a deep breath, writing one sentence, making one call. That one small action can shift your momentum. Once you have momentum, bigger actions follow naturally. So stop waiting. Stop putting your future on hold until your feelings line up. If you want your emotions to shift, take control. Move first. Act first. Decide first. And then let your mood catch up to you. Because the secret is this: your mood follows your actions, not the other way around. The challenge most people face is that they live their lives chasing short-term emotions instead of long-term vision. They allow whatever they feel in the moment to dictate their decisions. And because of that, they keep sacrificing the future they want for the comfort of today. It's the reason people quit diets when the craving shows up, abandon businesses when things get tough, or walk away from opportunities because they don't feel ready. They're trading their long-term vision for temporary feelings. But here's the truth. Every time you honor your plan instead of your mood, you're not just checking off a task, you're voting for your future self. You're casting a vote for the life you've said you wanted to create. If you've ever set a goal that mattered deeply to you, think about what it felt like when you first imagined it. That vision wasn't just a nice idea. It was a glimpse of the person you could become, the life you could build, the freedom you could experience, that clarity, that excitement. That's the future calling you. But the problem is, once life hits you with stress, once fatigue shows up, once doubt creeps in, the vision gets drowned out by your mood. The future whispers, but your feelings scream. If you keep listening to the screaming, you forget the whisper that mattered most. The people who achieve greatness aren't immune to moods. They don't always feel excited. They don't always feel strong. They don't always feel fearless. They have trained themselves to put vision above mood. They've learned to ask, does this decision serve my long-term outcome? Instead of, does this decision make me feel good right now? That's the difference between people who talk about their dreams and people who actually live them. Think about someone building wealth. In the moment, it feels good to spend, to indulge, to get the quick hit of pleasure. But the person committed to their vision of financial freedom doesn't ask, what feels good now? They ask, what will serve the freedom I want 10 years from now? And because of that, they save, they invest, they delay gratification. They sacrifice the mood of the moment for the vision of their future. And that's why they end up free while others stay trapped. It's the same with health. The mood says, skip the gym, eat the dessert, take the easy way out. But the vision says, I want to live with energy. I want to feel strong. I want to be alive for my family. The mood pushes for comfort. The vision pulls toward growth. And the one you choose in that moment decides your future. This is the battle every one of us faces daily, the short-term emotion versus the long-term vision. And if you don't consciously choose vision, mood will win by default. Because moods are loud, they're demanding, they make excuses sound reasonable. Vision requires you to look beyond what you feel now and anchor yourself to what you truly want most. This is why clarity of vision is so important. If your vision isn't strong enough, if it isn't clear enough, be able to pull you through the tough days. You'll default to moods because there's nothing stronger guiding you. But when your vision is crystal clear, when you know exactly who you want to become, what you want to create, why it matters, it becomes a force bigger than your excuses. In those moments when your mood tells you to quit, your vision reminds you why you started. And here's the truth: every time you choose vision over mood, you strengthen that muscle. You create alignment between who you are today and who you want to become tomorrow. And the more often you align those decisions, the faster your future becomes your present reality. Because your vision is not some distant dream, it's built one choice at a time. Every choice is either pulling you closer or pushing you further away. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine two people with the same dream of running a marathon. Feel excited when they sign up, both envision crossing the finish line, but one lets mood dictate the journey. On cold mornings, they skip training. When they feel tired, they stay in bed. When they feel discouraged, they stop early. The other person, one who puts vision first, doesn't negotiate with moods. They train whether it's raining or sunny, whether they feel like it or not. They anchor every decision to their vision of crossing that finish line. And months later, when race day comes, the person is ready and the other isn't. Not because of talent, not because of luck, but because of which voice they listen to, mood or vision. This is why people who succeed often seem to have superhuman willpower. It's not that they never feel lazy. It's not that they never feel afraid. It's not that they never want to quit. It's that they've trained themselves to value the future more than the moment. They've taught themselves to keep the long-term vision louder than the short-term mood. That's why their actions align with their goals even on the hardest days. And when you live this way, something amazing happens. You start to trust yourself. You start to believe not in some vague dream, but in your ability to follow through. Because every time you choose vision over mood, you prove to yourself that you are in control, not your emotions. That trust, that self-respect compounds an unshakable confidence. And that confidence becomes fuel for even bigger visions. So ask yourself right now, where in your life are you letting mood win over vision? Where are you trading what you want most for what feels comfortable in the moment? Where are you allowing emotions to dictate choices that your future self will regret? And then flip it. Commit that from this moment forward. Your long-term vision will always outweigh your short-term mood, because moods are fleeting, but vision is forever. And the person who chooses vision over and over becomes unstoppable. Term vision always beats short-term emotion.